Hello, this is Diné here, your time management expert. If you're new to my content, welcome. Feel free to peruse my page as it'll give you practical tips and guidelines on how to better manage your time. My approach, however, to time management is not limited to this approach, so I'm not like your typical time management coach. My focus is more on getting you to go deeper, to reveal what actually lies beneath. As a time management expert, my goal is to get you to go beyond the surface for why your time is not managed well. Because I know that you have the real answer within you, but you're just not sure how to access it. But once you do, it'll set you free. But it is true that we don't know what we don't know, which is why you will find practical tips, providing information on what to do if you find yourself procrastinating. Need tips on how to start delegating tasks, insights on how to prioritize your time, and so much more as a mom working from home. For some of you, that's all you need. But for those of you who have tried it all and have come to the conclusion that there's something missing or are just so overwhelmed, feeling like you're the victim of your circumstance, feeling burnt out because things have just gotten to the point where how you're running your day has just gone over your head. Wondering, how did things get so out of control? Perhaps it's time to explore what's in your head. Take a look at whether there's something going on subconsciously, inviting you to change your thoughts, your perceptions, your behaviors, or your belief system regarding why things are not working out for you. This approach is for you to make changes from the inside out. It's not just about gathering all the data around what you're doing wrong, but it's guiding you to what needs to change to make things right. Doing the work on the inside where it will reflect effortlessly on the outside. It's a holistic approach worth considering. In this video, I wanted to talk about the concept of time, this thing that we're trying so hard to manage and struggling to get a grip on. But do we really know what it is? Is it something that we can actually get a grip on when we're in a predicament where we're feeling, when is this gonna be over? Or, I need more time. Is it something that we could just go over there and turn the clock? Because for sure, it's not something that we could tweak here and there, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I'm here to advise you that on one level, we can. But generally, the answer is not until you understand what it is. I say on one level, referring to the fact that if you're looking at time management from the surface level, meaning that you're managing your time, that you have to connect with someone for a meeting, or setting a deadline, or making sure that you finish a project by a deadline so it can be available for someone else, or what time to set on your calendar for an event. And these are concepts we need to explore because as we experience life and we're dealing with other people, our day is made up of these activities. And in accumulation, this is what determines your life and the actions that you do for what you manifest for yourself. And if you have little ones, it's not just our time that we have to manage, but it's theirs too. Those are examples of what I consider surface levels. And the time management tips are effective if there's nothing at the deeper level interfering with it. At a deeper level, however, we may find things like our limiting belief system. That struggling and juggling it all is what it means to be a work from home mom, or worrying about your kids all the time is what it means to be a mom. Or at a deep level, fear of success or failure, keeping you from getting it together, getting your time managed well. Because imagine that you tried your best and you still didn't get it right after you put your best effort. That'll prove that you're not a good mom or a good worker. So that's when self-sabotage comes into play. Or not taking the time to get things working for yourself because you're such a people pleaser and you find it hard to set boundaries. These are examples of deeper motives that are buried in the subconscious. And they're not obvious to us. We don't even realize that we're doing these things on a conscious level, but they could be the underlying reason why our day is not managed well. And it's running the show. If that's the case, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what we do on the surface level. What's in the subconscious will continue to resurface. Poor time management, most of the time, it's not about time. There's something deeper. It's time to think outside the box. The most important thing in these stressful moments is to keep your head above water. But how do you do that? How do you get started with that when things are so stressful? Consider that solutions are not becoming available for you because you're too distracted by everything going on. And that's keeping you from looking where you're supposed to be looking, which is within. It's worth the time to slow things down for a moment. Slow time down in order to allow a solution to present itself. Let go and get out of your own way. The first thing to understand in all of this is that we are multi-dimensional, meaning that we exist at different levels. We exist from a conscious mind where things are related to the physical world, like our body and tangible things in life. Then there's our subconscious mind that experiences everything on a somatic or sensation or experiential level. Things that you can't always prove, but you know it's real because it's felt. Like intuition in dreams, whether that's day or night. Thoughts, you can't prove what someone else is thinking. Then there's what I call the superconscious state, in which everything exists. It's consciousness, our existence, the aware state. Utilizing the EEG machine, which is a physical machine that can measure our brain wave level activity, we can see that we go into different states, or into another dimension, so to speak, and that transition back and forth from one to the other. Our goal is not just to understand these states, but know how to utilize it to our advantage. So when we talk about managing this 24 hours that we have in a day, it's the lowest level of vibration. This is where our five senses are dominant. It's also the physical material world where we associate time to a clock. This is our illusionary world. And I say illusionary because there's nothing really concrete about it. And it sounds a bit contradictory when we say it's a physical material world, as if we can touch things. And indeed we can from a conscious mind level where the clock time exists. Within this realm or dimension, it is physical and real within here. We need this in our social world where we meet with people and where we experience our physical senses. To feel the sun on our skin and know it's daytime and see the position of the sun, to sense that it's noon, or see the moon with our eyes, confirming that it's evening. Think about the time period of an episode in a dream, or even when you've taken a power nap. You look at the clock before napping, then when you get up from what feels like a refreshing nap, that must have been an hour or two, because it was so much more effective than the sleep that you had last night. And it turns out to be only 10 minutes. Has that ever happened to you? We need to start trusting in the experiences that we experience instead of the stories that we're being told. But from the superconscious level, it's considered illusionary because you can't experience time there. Consider that we have time zones where we can hop on a plane and change what time it is in a matter of hours. Or fly out to space where the speed of time is different. You can see how time is sensed, but as a society and based on our programming of time being 24 hours in a day, and it's proved because of the clock, that's stored in our programming. And it affects our behavior and how things play out in our conscious physical world. It's what gets stored in our programming. When it comes to time, in mind-body science, it is evident that time is learned. Dr. Mario Martinez, a neuropsychologist who's known for his study on centenarians, people who are 100 years or older, he talks about a study that he had done where he was actually focusing on diabetics. And the purpose of the study was to measure their glucose and their response to time, and they were measured based on their perception of time. So he had 3 groups where he was giving distorted clocks. And he noticed that the ones who had time twice as fast as real time versus the one with half the time, it was a slower clock, slower than the real time. And then there was a group that actually had the real time. Their glucose tests actually showed a response to perceived time, not the real time. It's what they thought the time was going to be. Martinez calls this the biocognitive clock because of the fact that based on the clock they were looking at, that affected how the body reacted accordingly. And he showed how your biology is influenced by time and space. His research also included chronic pain and wound healing, and it was tested. It told the biology to a certain degree, not always 100% exact on how to respond, but it proved his findings further. Dr. Rafael Nunez, who's a professor of cognitive science, he said that once thought to be universal, this embodied cognition of time is in fact strictly cultural. Over the past decade, encounters with various remote tribal societies have revealed a rich diversity in the ways in which humans relate to time. He found the latest coming from the Yupno people of Papua New Guinea. That was the most remarkable to him. Time for the Yupno flows uphill and is not even linear. So based on his teachings in their culture, collectively, once unaware of any outside influence, they go on to believe that their perception of time is actually what it is. So this shows us that we are programmed on what time is supposed to be, and we can reprogram ourselves. The practice of connecting to the superconscious level affects both the subconscious and the conscious level, because superconsciously, it requires slowing down and being present and settling into your existence, which will create a trait that automatically get reflected into the lower vibrational states, which again is the conscious and subconscious states. And then at the superconscious level, time doesn't even exist. At this level, it's an eternal presence. You existing at this level is beyond everything. And I use the word beyond, but don't get me wrong, it's not something that's unattainable or something that's difficult to access. As a meditation teacher, this is a tool that I use to guide individuals to what is really available to you at all times and already exists for you always, whenever you're ready to access it. Because this superconscious level is you. And above all else, at the highest level of vibration, influencing all other levels, all other mind states. If the relationship to time is overwhelming, it's likely due to something deeper that needs to be explored. We choose our situation whether we like to believe it or not. Having an understanding of what we are to learn from a situation that seems unfortunate, it's important. It's important in terms of understanding and learning from it so we can take what we were meant to get from it, which will provide growth. And then we use that knowledge to move on, to create something new. And this is where the subconscious reprogramming or reframing comes into play. Going within is where all of the answers lie. Not just in making changes to what's going on in our external world, but when it comes to time management, this is the case as well. This should give you an idea of how I approach time management as a subconscious expert. But as we're focusing on time management, you can see that what you do with your time plays as an interpretation of what's stored in your subconscious. So I work with the subconscious so you can see changes in the physical world. I hope this concept of time makes sense to you and gives you a better understanding of what time really is. For the sake of explaining these concepts, throughout the video, I've used words to help clarify my point. referring to the superconscious as if it's so far out or something that's difficult to attain, when it's something that you experience, but may be unaware of that until you do. Dimension is also a concept. Dimensions or realms or levels, they're all concepts. But in my guided meditation, you can experience this awareness. I thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.